again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Browns Latest. I'm Dave Grendzynski, and this is where you can stop in and get caught up on some of the latest news involving our Cleveland Browns and then get a take attached to each of those news items along the way. Thank you to everyone who has liked our previous episodes. Hopefully this one will make the list, but also, as you can see, thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel. We have surpassed 6,000, and as promised, we have changed the fit for today, and we're going with the Bernie Kosar jersey, number 19. Now, this is the one number I think that the Browns need to retire that they haven't retired yet. I don't think we need guys like Corey Coleman and Brashad Perriman wearing 19 anymore. I just think that this one should be hanging from the rafters, but I digress. So thank you so much to everybody. We are over 6,000 and now on our way to 7,000. We get to 7,000. I'm already working on what I'll do then. And we get to 12,000. Who knows what I'll do? All right, here we go, folks. And the other thing is thank you to everybody who gets into the viewer comments and lets their voices be heard. Now, coming up on today's show, we got to start with some tough news, folks. Shedeur Sanders caught speeding down I-71 in Strongsville. What we can only hope comes from this. How about this? There's a little known roster trick that may be a way to keep all four quarterbacks on the roster without keeping all four quarterbacks on the roster. We'll explain. Also ahead, speaking of our quarterbacks, all of them have distinguishable attributes according to CBS Sports. But man, in my opinion, I think they did one of our guys dirty. And down in the viewer comments, one viewer says, one of our quarterbacks will make history. We'll find out what that's all about. But first things first, Shedeur Sanders, cited for speeding 101 miles per hour at 12:24 a.m. the other day in a 60-mile-an-hour zone, 41 miles per hour over the posted speed limit, and nothing good ever happens after midnight, folks. Used to be nothing good happens after 2 a.m. Well, nothing good happens after midnight. I had so many coaches tell me that. But his girlfriend was following, apparently. She also cited for speeding. She was doing 90 miles an hour, apparently. The State Highway Patrol involved. He was in his 2025 Ram TRX, and he's got an option here, folks. He can either dispute this in court, but there's body cam, it's going to be tough to dispute, or he'll pay the $250 fine. I'm sure he'll pay the $250 fine. Now, Fox 8 News here in Cleveland, they said that more than 83,000 people were given tickets, according to the Ohio State Highway Patrol, for speeding 20 miles an hour over the limit. And more than 3,700 received tickets for going over 100 miles per hour. So this isn't that uncommon. They said they've even done a story on a city firefighter who was clocked at 117 miles per hour. So, going this fast, on a highway in Northeast Ohio is not that uncommon, but it's just very disappointing. I mean, he's been doing so many good things. And, 23 years old, you're young, you're invincible. You just don't think anything like this is going to happen to you. But the only thing we can hope is that he learns from this. And he has learned his lesson. And just hope that this is the worst thing that ever happens in his entire NFL career. And he can put it behind him. Now, remember, just a few years ago, we had Myles Garrett crash his car. He was cited for failure to control his vehicle at an unsafe speed, ended up in a ditch. It was a Porsche he was driving in Wadsworth. His girlfriend was also in the car. And he missed games because of this. He suffered a left shoulder sprain. He had a right bicep strain because of this accident, and a blood vessel popped in his eye. And so he hurt the team. He not only hurt himself, he hurt the team. And the female passenger was in the car. She went to the hospital with a minor head injury, and he was cited and all of that. And so we've seen something like this before from one of our star players. The only good thing to say about this is that nobody was hurt. We're not in the middle of a season. I mean, I don't know if the team will take any action. I don't know if Shedeur will talk about this later today. We'll just keep you posted, and hopefully, like I said, this is just an isolated incident, and he'll put it behind him, and we'll move on. But again, very disappointing, but not something that he can't overcome. And there is a look at the ticket right there: 101 miles per hour in a 61 in a 60 mile per hour zone. And so okay, that's all we can do, folks. Let's hope that he learns his lesson. I mean, when you know how it is when you're young and you think you're invincible. So okay, now I don't know if you heard about this, but there's something called the 54-man roster trick that may be in play for the Browns. And it's not widely known. And the person it would affect would be Joe Flacco, because we're trying to figure out a way, okay, how are the Browns going to keep 4 quarterbacks on the roster? Are they going to have to lose a player here, lose a player there? How are they going to pull this off if they can't come up with a trade? If you trade one of the vets. Anyway, so here's how this works. Okay. It involves vested veterans. And you're like, Dave, well, what's a vested veteran? Well, a vested veteran is a player who's been in the league for more than 4 years. And then what this means is that they don't have to go through waivers. And they can stay with their team without other teams, grabbing them and stealing them from us, or claiming them. And so NFL insider Mike Florio said the Browns could use this tactic. Now listen to what he said. He said, if the Browns don't get an acceptable offer for Pickett before it's time to cut the roster from 90 to 53, one potential short-term approach could be to cut Flacco, sign him to the practice squad, and bring him up to the active roster every week. Now this strategy would allow the Browns to evaluate all the quarterbacks who are on the roster, and have Flacco sitting there as kind of an emergency week to week. But the thing is, Flacco would have to go through with this plan if they decided to do this. And so, the 54-man roster trick, it's vested veterans who don't have to pass through waivers, and then up until the trade deadline, and then things will change. But if they decide to go this route, they can cut them and then just add them back if that's what turns out to be the best case scenario. A 54-man roster, trick, and the Browns at this point don't seem to be in a hurry to come up with to name their starting quarterback for week 1. So this could be something that they can use. The 54, who knew? The 54-man roster trick. All right, now, speaking of the quarterbacks, CBS Sports, they said, hey, they all have attributes. They have a couple of things that really stand out amongst each of them. And when I looked at this, I thought, wow. I thought, man, they really kind of did one of our guys dirty here. And we'll get to that in a second. So let's start first with the rookies, okay? So we'll start with Dillon Gabriel. They say Dillon Gabriel, his best assets, vision and short area accuracy. And they, and here's a little context they provided along with the attributes they provided each player. They said, yes, he's 5'11", and he'll be 25 by the time his rookie season concludes. But they say that is, he lacks prototypical NFL size. And so there are legitimate questions as to whether his ability to read the field or push the ball deep, whether or not that will translate to the pro stage. And this is all considering his physical limitations. But he drew rave reviews for his timing and his touch on his short-range throws, which is the kind of thing Kevin Stefanski likes. And then you look at Shedeur Sanders, his best attributes, according to CBS Sports: composure and downfield touch. And they say, Shedeur, they say, his dad, Dion, his coach, may have put too much emphasis on hitting home runs from the pocket during his sack-riddled time running the Buffalo's offense. He says, still, he showed NFL-level poise, and especially as he's like an old-school pocket passer is what they called him. And they said he uses his timing and anticipation on deeper shots And so this really fits into the Stefanski offense really well, especially if you remember what Joe Flacco was doing a couple of years ago. It was that play action and those deep balls. I mean, they would just lull you to sleep, and then play action over the top with Flacco, and that's what they're saying Shedeur could bring to this offense. And now, speaking of Flacco, what are his attributes? Well, Joe Flacco, of course, brings you experience and arm strength. He also gives you elite size. He's 6'6". And when he throws deep, it's effortless. He has got a cannon, and so the Browns still might decide to start him on the bench like they did in 2023 and go with Kenny Pickett. But the bottom line is Kevin Stefanski knows he's got a sturdy, even if he's streaky, veteran who knows the system. And now Kenny Pickett. His best attributes, mobility and situational grit. I was like, situational grit? What the heck kind of attribute? I thought they did him wrong with that. I was like, that's all they could come up with? But listen to this, folks. Pickett, of course, is probably the biggest wild card of the bunch. And remember, he was a top 25 pick when he came out. His Steelers tenure didn't last very long, of course. But they said he's got rugged, play-extending skills in crunch time. Listen, folks, this is something you may not know. Kenny Pickett, during his 22-23 season, led 6 fourth-quarter comebacks and 7 game-winning drives. They say it's both his pro experience and his backyard-style toughness. If that's what the Browns are after, then he may quietly be the best bet for the Browns. And when I looked at this, I thought, situational grit, that sounds more like a band name than it does a quarterback attribute. But, that's what they say about Kenny Pickett. Now, here's the thing. I did check those fourth quarter comebacks and those game-winning drives. Confirmed. Can you believe that? 6 fourth-quarter comebacks and 7 game-winning drives. 15-10 in the league, folks. And you know what? In 2023 against Tennessee, Week 9, Pickett capped a game-winning drive with a touchdown pass to none other than Deontay Johnson. So, will we see some of that magic recreated again this year? I don't know. But, folks, I'm telling you, every time you try to get away from it, it just keeps coming back. Kenny Pickett, man, they vetted him in college. They know what they're getting, folks. They obviously went after him right away. They got him from Philly, sending DTR over there in a draft pick. So there is something that they see and they really like about Kenny Pickett. And I'm just telling you, I will not be surprised if they name him Week 1 starter over Joe Flacco. I would not be surprised by that. And then it's going to be, hey, they think they have this year's Sam Darnold, and we're going to find out. At some point, they're all going to get a shot. We're going to find out. All right, now, one thing we don't need to find out about is how good the viewer comments are. And I know we're celebrating 6,000 today with the new fit, but it's the viewer comments, in my opinion, that help earn the subscribers because you guys are all so great. And today we're going to start with the Ashanti Mom. And she says, Shedeur is likely the best 5th-round pick in team history. He's a solid prospect to start before midseason. And I would say, yeah, like we were saying, one of the veterans is more than likely going to start the season Week 1. And it's either going to be Flacco or Pickett. Then it's just a matter of how long they'll last. And then the rookies will get a shot. But here's the thing. If Shedeur, or we'll say, if Shedeur pulls this off, here, listen to what I found. No NFL quarterback drafted in the 5th round has ever started in Week 1. One instance of a late-round rookie starting Week 1. Listen to this. Randy Hedberg. He played with Tampa Bay. He was an 8th-round draft pick, and he started for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Week 1 in 1977, but his career was short-lived. He went 0-4, and I don't think anybody's ever heard from him again, at least in the league. But he's the only guy, late-round draft pick. And that was been said. They were still doing over, more than 7 rounds in the draft. And so it'll be quite a feat if Shedeur could pull it off and be the Week 1 starter. Okay. Patrick, now this starts off like a YouTube handle, but ends more like a password. Patrick SW69-V2K. Like I said, if you need a password, go with the back half. If you just need a YouTube handle, go with Patrick. Now, he says, well, if the Browns management and coaching staffs have taught us fans anything, and he says he's been a fan since 1963. He says since their return in 1999, he says what they've taught us is that we can't have enough quarterbacks. Go Dogs. And you know what? I 100% agree because I've been saying that for years. I've been telling my buddy for years, like, why are we only drafting one quarterback? We can't get this right. Look at the jersey with all the names. I'm like, until you get draft multiple, draft 2, draft 3. So finally, we did it. You know, I mean, why not? It is the most important position in sports. So why not draft multiple quarterbacks? And we finally did it. And hopefully this year is the year we finally get it right. At L. Sean. Could be LaShawn, but it's capital L with a Sean. He says, Tony Fields on the bus list? He was a 5th-round pick, LOL. You label guys in late rounds a bust? The expectations aren't high enough for them to be busts. LOL, shake my head. LOL, SMH. Okay, L. Sean, here's the deal. Here's my feeling on draft. If you're going to invest a draft pick into somebody, you expect them to play on your team, right? You expect them to do something. If you're going to spend a draft pick on them, it's like you're spending currency, right? I would say the 6th and 7th round picks, it gets a little dicey, but I mean, even Tom Brady came out of the 6th round. So if you're expending a draft pick on somebody, to me, you should expect them to contribute to your team. It's like, the way I look at it is like this. When you buy something, right? So you want to buy something, you buy like the most expensive thing. That's a 1st-round draft pick, right? You spend the most money on something. You expect it to last. You expect it to work great. You expect it to do things that, you know, a cheaper version wouldn't do. You expect it to work and last and be there forever. You want it on your team. So it's like, okay, one time I went to Big Lots and I bought these hedge clippers. And okay, I went to Big Lots. I could have gone to one of the big box stores or something and bought a better version. But I was like, look at that. I paid like $5 for them or whatever. You know, got it, brought them home. After a few, they fell apart. That's a bust. I invested money in this thing. Thought it was going to work. Wasn't much money, but I still invested in it. But it still busted on me. It fell apart. And that's the way I look at draft picks. And so no offense to Big Lots, although they did go out of business here in the Northeast Ohio. But no offense to Big Lots. Loved it when it was around. But, if you're going to spend big money on something, 1st-round draft pick, then yeah, you expect them to do that. But I think you still, like down here, in the 5th round, yes, you still should have those same expectations, whether it's on special teams or something. You expect these guys to play. So that's where I'm at on Tony Fields, Sean. Great take. Thank you. Keep them coming. And this is how we're going to end. We're going to end, it's a great handle, at Spacely Adams. He says, 6K subs. Your work will not go unnoticed. And I just want to say thank you. I cannot thank you enough for all of the support you have shown our little show. And I don't know if you ever see it here hanging on the chair. I was going to put on my Browns hat for this show, but I went with the jersey. But thank you so much for coming in here every day and sharing your thoughts. And hey, we're on our way to 7,000, 8,000. Now, do I sound like LeBron now? 9,000, 10,000. Hopefully this ends way better than how it ended for LeBron when he said that down in Miami. But thank you again. I can't thank you enough for the support you have given us to get us to 6,000 subscribers. Okay, that's going to do it for today. Go Browns. We'll see you next time.